And this masterclass is really all about investing. It's extremely beginner friendly. So if you've never invested before, you have no idea what a stock is, or you have very limited information on investing, you're in the right place. This is my investing one-on-one workshop. And at the very front of the presentation, I have a quote that says, "Building wealth is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and discipline is the key ingredient." So the reason I wrote that quote is because a lot of people think that when it comes to building wealth, it's something that just happens overnight. But you have to be extremely disciplined. That's not the case. It's the little decisions you make every day that compound over time. And oftentimes you'll see me referencing to this quote because, again, investing is not a get rich quick scheme. It's the decisions you make every day that compound over time. And eventually you'll end up in a position where you have multiple streams of income, multiple forms of investments, and you're truly in a position where you're working towards financial freedom. So I'll start by introducing my company. The MMG, which stands for the Millennial Money Guide, is a financial literacy company aimed at informing and educating women on how to win with their money without giving up everything that they love. So oftentimes people will ask me, do you work with men? Yes, I do work with men, but personally for me, my mission is to really empower women, specifically women of color, when it comes to the decisions that they make with their money, because I want women to understand that they should never have to rely on any strong man in their life. It's great if you have a supportive father, significant other, or brother in your life, but I think that it's so important. And when women are financially independent and they're not relying on any strong man in their life, they're more inclined to chase after healthier opportunities and, set better boundaries in their life. When it comes to what we do as a consulting company, we apply a holistic approach to finance. So we're big believers that yes, investing is so important, but there's other pivotal parts in your financial journey that you also need to master. And that's learning how to budget, learning how to manage your cash flow, understanding how to manage debt effectively. Also understanding that there's good debt and there's bad debt, understanding the importance of credit, insurance, having multiple streams of income. So we understand that assessing these different areas, for example, budgeting, investing, credit, managing student loans, even qualifying for real estate, are all pivotal parts to helping you live a life that's financially abundant and helping you get to a place where you're working towards financial freedom. So we see these areas as being part of a formula that helps you live a more fulfilled life full of opportunities. In terms of who I am, I'm a finance professional with actually 7 years of finance experience as of this year. I've helped thousands of Canadians improve their overall financial well-being over the course of my career. And currently I'm on a mission to help empower women to take control of their financial future. My goal is to help my clients reach millionaire status in their lifetime by teaching them how to save and invest. And as we speak, the MMG is going through a massive growth period. There's a huge need for financial education. I'm sure if each of you reflect on your educational experience, whether it was high school or post-secondary, there is very minimal coverage when it came to finance. So huge need for financial education. And our goal is to make an impact on financial literacy at a global scale. So we're going to get started. And the way that this workshop works is I start with the absolute basics. So some of you might have some investing knowledge, or maybe you're already doing it, but you're not satisfied with the rate of return or the growth of your investments. So for that reason, I don't assume that everyone's at a certain place. I start with the absolute basics. So let's start by actually explaining and defining what investing is. So investing is the idea that you're taking money and you're allocating it into some sort of an investment vehicle with the expectation of either generating an income or a profit. Let's use real estate as an example. Although this class isn't about investing in real estate, when someone has a substantial amount of savings built up, their down payment, they put that towards a real estate purchase. And when we buy real estate, we might be buying real estate because we might want to live in the property and have a home to call our own. But most of the time we're buying something with the expectation that that piece of property or that parcel of land is going to go up in value. And when it does go up in value, we'll eventually sell it and we'll be in a position where we've earned a profit. Investing in the stock market is no different. We invest in the stock market to grow our savings. We invest in the stock market to, generate income. And we'll talk about what that looks like in a moment. So why should you invest? You should be investing to build wealth. So again, investing in the stock market is a great way to build generational wealth. Fun fact, intergenerational wealth is often lost by the third generation. So if you think of your grandparents, your parents, and then us, because there's a lack of financial education, and one thing that isn't taught from generation to the next is financial education. No matter how much money your parents or your grandparents had, by the third generation, it's often lost because we're lacking that skill set. So investing is important if you want to generate wealth. Investing is so important if you want to save for retirement. I'm going to pause and ask all of you guys a question, and I'd love if you could utilize the chat box. But how much do you think you need to have saved by retirement? If there was a golden number, just throw it out there. What do you think that number is? 1 million. Okay, I'll give you guys a second. You guys can enter your responses. Give me one moment. Okay, so we got a variety. We got 1 million, 1.2, 800K, 2 million, 1.5, with inflation, 1 million. Awesome. So as per recent studies, 1.7 million is the golden number, but it also depends on your lifestyle. Like, what type of lifestyle do you want to live upon retirement? I would actually encourage each of you to think about that right now. Upon retirement, do you want to travel a lot? Do you want to take care of your grandkids, your kids? Do you want to live in a big house? Do you see yourself downsizing, living a very minimalistic lifestyle? The answer is going to be different for each of you. And the way you respond to that question is what's going to help you determine exactly how much you need. But if we're going to be generic, 1.7 million is the answer. So how does that make you guys feel? Are any of you doing anything currently to work towards that? Again, I would love if you could utilize the chat box to share your responses, but are any of you actively saving for retirement? RSPs through work. Okay, good. RSPs are a registered retirement savings plan for those of you that don't know. Okay, we got a defined pension plan through work. $100 every month since I was 18. I love that. Mutual funds. Okay. So it sounds like some of you are currently saving. Someone said no, and that's totally fine. That's the whole reason you're taking this class. Someone said I'm very nervous. RSPs, municipal pension plan, current properties. That's good. That's like a very good financial plan, or like a good starting point to have multiple types of mechanisms to help you save for retirement. So again, today I'm going to teach you guys how to save for retirement. I'm going to explain to you that you don't need a crazy amount to start, but it is so important that you start now, because generally speaking, how are you going to get to 1.7 million or potentially more? The third reason we invest is to reach financial goals. So I'm sure many of us aspire to own real estate, and that down payment isn't just going to grow overnight. You need to consciously invest, and you need to consciously invest consistently every month to get there. So some other financial goals could be, maybe, you're working your 9-to-5 job now, but it isn't, that's not your purpose. You don't see yourself working a 9-to-5 forever. So maybe you're investing consciously every month now because one day you want to quit your 9-to-5 and start that dream business that you've always aspired to start. Other financial goals could be saving for your child's education. I think there was a recent study that suggested in Canada, the average like college or university education costs almost close to like 100K now, depending on whether you're living on campus or whatever the case may be, but it's like 60K or above. So again, if you want to help your kids with school and give them those opportunities, it comes at a cost. Let's talk about inflation. Who feels comfortable explaining what they think inflation is or how they've seen it lately? Again, if you could use the chat box. What is inflation? So it's an increase in prices, cost of living, increase in the cost of living, cost of living is increasing, things get more expensive, increase in demand, lack of supply. Yeah, you nailed it. So the idea with inflation is that the cost of living is going up, and I'm sure every single person in this chat can relate. The cost of groceries went up, cost of lettuce, eggs went up, the cost of gas went up. So it's basically the idea that the cost of living is going up, but the value of your dollar isn't. So what that means is if the cost of living is going up, but the value of your dollar isn't, for those of you that have a lump sum of savings sitting in a basic savings account, like you know that you're not accessing this money anytime soon, it's your long-term savings, you're actually losing money. Does anyone know what the inflation rate is in Canada right now? RESPs are helpful. I'll just answer that. 5 to 6%, 5.8, 10%. So inflation was really high last year. It was like, I think close to 6 to 7%. But for those of you that are kind of in touch with the real estate market and mortgages, the Bank of Canada continued raising interest rates. So when the Bank of Canada raises interest rates with mortgages, that's supposed to offset inflation. So inflation has actually come down. Inflation has come down the most in Canada in comparison to the US and Europe. So inflation right now is at 5.2%. And the reason that this is important is because for those of you that have a lump sum sitting in your savings, if you aren't generating 5.2% in interest or more, you're losing money over time. And it's invisible. It's not like you see it. But the idea with inflation is if you had $10,000 sitting in your savings account today, and that's like a long-term savings, a year from now, that 10,000 realistically is only worth like, I don't know how to do the math, but let's just say 9,600. And although the value of your savings account doesn't drop to 9,600, it's the fact that that's your purchasing power. So you guys need to invest in order to offset inflation. Right now it's at 5.2%. In Canada, we want to get it down to 2%, like 2%, which is why interest rates with mortgages have gone up. So inflation is a really important reason for you to invest. And ideally you should, and I would write this down, you should be aiming for about 8 to 10% on average with your returns. Because not only do you want to offset inflation, you want to earn more. Okay, we invest to build on pre-tax dollars. So you see that with like RSPs or 401ks for those of you that are American. And we invest because of compound interest, which is the idea that you earn interest on interest.